Are you a new Longhorn breeder eager to educate yourself on market trends and sale prices? Stay in the loop with our text messages. Get the latest updates, events, and insider tips on all things Longhorns delivered straight to your phone.
Stay informed by texting website to 888-700-8131, then reply with Longhorns. That's website to 888-700-8131. Sign up today and take your breeding program to the next level.
Hi there, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast.
For 15 years now, we've been proudly helping breeders promote hundreds of thousands of pedigree livestock with our easy-to-use animal management-driven website software.
And let's not forget about Hired Hand Live, where over $1 million worth of livestock is sold online each year.
We're excited to bring you market trends, sales data, advice from your fellow breeders, and stories from the ranch.
Our software makes managing your website and your animals a breeze, so you can focus on what you love.
So let us handle your digital chores while you tune in to another episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Today I'm joined with Ben Krump of Krump Longhorns from Hankinson, North Dakota. Thank you for joining me today, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you start by telling me just a little bit about yourself and how you found yourself raising Longhorns in North Dakota?
So I'm in the very southeast corner of the state, about 8 miles from South Dakota, another 13 to the Minnesota border, 24 years old. I work at a corn plant about half an hour from me. Before I was even born, actually, in 97, my grandpa had a bypass on his heart. Doctor told him, he said, just you're going to have to limit your cholesterol intake and not to really eat any more beef. And then just kind of got started with Longhorns because of that, just because of how lean the beef is. And that was in 97. And then I think it was 2012 or 2013 is when we went into a registered side of the breed. Still did the beef side, but we went to registered in about 2012, 2013 timeframe.
And so how many head did you have at that time that did you transition from being registered, or did you purchase, new ones specifically for the registered program?
We just had unregistered up to that point. We probably had like 8. And then we bought out a herd from a lady in Minnesota. Those are really old style genetics. A lot of like overwhelmer, bale jumper. And then we bought her herd out. And then just from then, me and my dad, as I got older, I still have cows at his place, but my breeding program has changed from what he does. So we're kind of a different breeding side of the breed. He's still on the beef. I went to more of the horn side, I guess.
So how many registered head do you have today?
I think I've got 7 cows, six cows and a heifer, and then a bull and a steer.
Okay. And what bloodlines are you trying to infuse into your herd and kind of make the basis?
So I've got a partnership bull with the Mullen axis. His name is Brazos Rocky, 667. So I got the Rio influence there, and then the Jamaicism from the Alfie lines. That's kind of a really good foundation for herd sire, I felt. And then I've got a Cowboy Tough Check's daughter, and Cowboy Check's daughter, Sitting Bull daughter, Hubble's 20 gauge daughter. So I've kind of got a little bit of everything.
So I'm assuming the bull maybe winters with you or summers with you in North Dakota and spends his winters down in Texas at Brazos Rose.
Yep. And then
the best way to do it.
Yeah, this year he's gonna spend winter at the Lazy J in Kansas.
Okay. All right. Good middle ground there.
Yep.
So did you find yourself having to travel a lot to obtain the bloodlines that you were looking for? Did you purchase them through sales? Tell me a little bit about that.
So first cow that I bought was when I was 19. Would have been a sophomore in college. Just going into sophomore year of college. First big time registered one, I'd say. Her name is DC Cowboy's Leweze. That is a Cowboy Check's daughter. Bought her from the late Fred Bryant and Cheryl too. So that was in Missouri there. I remember I bought her in second year in college, and then I picked her up. I bought her just before Thanksgiving or Halloween, sometime in that range. And I didn't want to bring her home right away just because of the getting from where she was in Missouri and the nice weather up to North Dakota and have a pretty hard transition. So I talked to Fred. He kept her down there till got her July 12th, I'd like to say it was. So we made the trip down, picked her up, talked to Fred just over the phone, met him and Cheryl, super nice people. My dad was pretty weary. He's like, how do you know these people? You know, you bought something off the internet, and he was just going on and on. And he's like, how do you know these people are even trustworthy? I'm like, well, you know, they know other people in the breed, because at this time I didn't know anybody in the breed. Just had, you know, some mutual friends over Facebook. So just kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. Turns out to be some of the best people that I've come to meet since being with Longhorns. So that's how I got started. Still in my herd today. The cow that's got, you know, she's never going to leave the place just because she was my first one. And yeah, that's how I got started. Bought her from Missouri. And then just a lot of the other stuff that I bought came from Texas or something. Got to know Joe Sedlicek. So he'll do a lot of hauling for me to Kansas, and I'll go down and meet him in Kansas. So Kansas is about halfway for me, so that works out pretty good. And Joe's a super guy. It's always nice going to his place and visiting with him and seeing all his herd.
So your grandfather was a little wary, you know, of using the internet, but I feel like it's not that common either for a student in college to be making those types of moves in the industry. I feel like there's the youth who, you know, are involved in the show circuit maybe prior to college, and then, you know, kind of a gap, and then the younger adults. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, was it intimidating to, you know, reach out and talk about what you were trying to acquire? Were you taken seriously?
I guess I reached out to him, to Fred first. And I remember I called him a week before I actually got in touch with him. Tried calling him. Wouldn't get an answer. And then I was about ready to give up. And then I just got home from, I was a weekend, it's Friday, after college, just got home. Thought I'd get one last effort. And Fred picked up. He's like, so I sent him an email and I called him. And he's like, when I called him, he answered. And he's like, I just saw your email. And he's like, we just got home from vacation. So I don't know if he was out of the country or what. And then, so he took me pretty seriously, and he's gave me the whole rundown on her, how she's such a sweet cow, and just talked about life for a little bit. And that was a great first experience. I don't think I could ask for much of a better one.
Do you sometimes feel like you're the only one who doesn't have it all figured out? Rural life can be isolating, but it doesn't have to be.
Welcome to Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, the podcast for women who are craving connection, laughter, solidarity, camaraderie, and just overall encouragement in your everyday life and dreams.
Each week, your hosts, Annalise, that's me, and Courtney will cover topics such as farm life, mom life, making money online, side hustles, hobbies, sharing on social media, jobs off the farm, and so much more.
Us rural gals need to stick together, so saddle up for some fun, real, and unsolicited advice and stories from our everyday farm lives.
Grab a drink. We're Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, and we're here to help. Listen wherever you find podcasts.
Hidden Springs Ranch, located in central North Carolina, is committed to registered Texas Longhorns. From our high-end breeding stock down to our delicious Longhorn beef sticks. Check us out at hslonghorns.com or on Instagram at Hidden Springs Ranch. Hidden Springs Ranch, where they're bred to turn heads.
Love what you're hearing? Be sure to check out our Pickup Truck Confessions. It's a video series where we hop in the truck or rental car and interview a variety of breeders about what drives their passion for their livestock. how they got started in the breed of their choice, marketing tips, and more. And now, back to the podcast.
So are you utilizing Hired Hand Live a lot during the auctions?
I try to. If I'm not working weekends, I'll try to pop in, check what they're going for, see what they look like, just walking around the ring and stuff like that.
So tell me a little bit about how that goes. Like, do you have any you've lost out on that you regret? Any that you've brought home that you're excited about?
I haven't bought any on Hired Hand Live. I've popped into sales and hoping that some of them that I liked would go for a lot less than what they went for, but I just guess I've got expensive taste and
There you go.
never even had a chance to bid. By the time I was going to bid, they were already way too high. So.
And what about the hauling aspect? You said you were fortunate enough to, work something out with Joe where he'll bring them halfway, but was that a challenge at first, or did Fred help with that part getting started?
That part, talked to Fred about hauling, having her shipped all the way home, and it was pretty expensive, so we just decided to make a trip out of it for a whole weekend. He wasn't too far from Branson, so me and my family went to Branson for the weekend, and then popped in before we went to Branson, chatted for a couple hours, went to Branson, came back and picked her up, and we were on our way.
And so are you hoping to get your program to the point where you can take some of these animals you're working on combining and breeding to some of the measurement competitions or futurities, or are you just going to focus on, staying there maybe regionally and kind of growing your presence that way?
I'd say probably that's probably next 5 years. I'd like to grow my breeding program a little bit more and get to a number that I'd like to be at, just to have pretty good numbers in my herd before I start consigning stuff to sales. Futurity wise, that would be nice to go to. That hopefully is in some of my plans for next year. That would depends on some of these heifers I have. If they turn out the way that they're going and how I hope they do, I would like to make it to a couple of futurities next year.
Which one is the closest to you?
I don't even know. I don't know if that would even factor in, I guess.
Just make a trip out of it?
Yeah, I like going to Texas, so something in Texas. Depends on what works for probably my work schedule, and yeah.
Well, talk to me a little bit about raising Longhorns in North Dakota. So obviously a lot of our listeners are probably down south or, maybe east or west coast. But I mean, even being from Iowa, which I would consider a Midwest state, we get a rap of getting lots of snow and harsh wind chills and stuff. I was super surprised my first trip to North Dakota at the amount of snow fences along the interstates. All of the little lakes that are around that, I feel like have an issue on the weather. So just talk to me about just probably the major differences in raising Longhorns there.
Yeah. So right now it's pretty good for weather-wise. Sometimes we'll get harsh weather at the end of October. So it gets to be a really long winter. Biggest thing that I found to be the most, or I guess the best practice, I changed my feed program completely, just based off kind of frozen horn was like probably the biggest issue. Mm-hmm. So for that, I went from feeding more of your prairie grass hay to straight. Last year I did alfalfa and orchard grass mix hay. This year I went to full second cutting alfalfa. And then before I did just protein tubs. I switched from protein tubs to higher fat and higher fiber tubs, figuring that they're getting their max protein potential from alfalfa. Then we've always fed corn screenings, so just super cracked corn. That's what we've always done. So that was last year was just really opened my eyes for how much just having a really good feed program can help them get through the winter. Now, last winter, we didn't have that hard of a winter. It's probably the easiest one we've had in a long, long time. I don't even know if we had a foot of snow total, and it wasn't that super cold, so it was really easy. It was really easy on them last year. I remember 2 years ago we had 90-some inches of snow. That got to be really long and brutal. But just surviving the winter is just all on feed program and how well you feed is how well they're going to do.
So for folks that maybe don't understand the different types of hay or the composition, can you speak a little more to just why you figured out kind of that process and why the alfalfa is better for the wintering and everything?
So that's just got higher protein and higher energy. You're getting a lot more out of that, and that's their main food source for their hay versus like the native prairie. That's just kind of like a filler. You don't get the greatest protein and all that, so you have to feed a lot extra to get them to where they are. If you were just to feed alfalfa as that comparison, so you're getting a lot more on the protein side from alfalfa, and they just do a lot better, and they retain what they eat a lot more. Everything that they're eating on alfalfa, you're still going to have some that gets lost, but they retain a lot of the weight a lot better.
So what about shelter or your pen setup or your pastures? Talk to me a little bit about those.
I guess kind of where my cows are at my dad's. It's probably a lot different from a lot of other places in the state or even a little bit south where it's still cold. Like wind is the biggest thing for horn freeze, the wind chill. So my dad lives, my parents live in an old nursery. So old tree nursery, so it's complete sheltered in by lots and lots of trees. So that helps out us a lot. Horn freeze, we still get it time to time, but we could have it a lot worse. So we get a lot of wind shelter that way. And then we just do, in every pen that we have, we do lean-to shelters. So a lot of time we just leave calves on their dams through the winter if they're born from May on. It's just a lot easier on them with body condition and horn freeze, so we won't wean them till the spring. And then we'll do calf shelters for them so they don't get a lot of room in the barn. And just to avoid them getting laid on or something, we'll do a calf shelter.
Do your winters affect your decision making when it comes to purchasing bred animals or animals with calves at side, or do you have to kind of wait and get them on your cycle? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, like these late sales, I guess I wouldn't even think about buying a cow from September on, I guess. I think you need to give them a couple months to kind of settle in to the climate, even though probably our August and September isn't that different, but October can change really, really fast. Yeah, anything past end of August, I wouldn't even think about buying an animal in a sale, I guess, just on location wise for me.
And then when do you typically try to calve?
Last year was perfect. Or this calving season was perfect, I guess. Started at, I think it was 14th of April was my first calf. I got done June 20th or 22nd, somewhere in that range. So I really like calving in May. April sometimes gets a little sketchy. We can still get snowstorms in April. So May is pretty perfect for me. May to the beginning of June.
Mm-hmm. Well, you talked about horn freeze earlier. I can remember growing up, one of my favorite show cows that got put out to pasture when she was done had a horn freeze. So all the pictures after that of us with her was one little twist up and one down. She looked a little asymmetrical.
Yeah, I've got one. My youngest cow I got from Bull Creek And I brought her up as a yearling, or just as a weanling, I guess. And bought her, I think it was in July, and brought her home. This was before I was on my feed program that I am now, and she froze both. And she looked good, I thought, coming out of winter. And she just, before I kind of knew what horn freeze, like how you tell what horn freeze is right away, before they even fall off or anything, like her horns just stopped growing for like 3 months. Like you just never saw any growth, and you're like, what's going on? And then went up to feed one morning. It was probably June. I saw a crack at her base, and then next day they were both kind of drooped, and it had already just deteriorated, and they were both had an infection. So I took her to the vet and just had to essentially just saw her horns off to the base, and now both her horns just come straight down. And that's my 20 gauge daughter out of Holiday Cheer, BCB. So she's got some big time sisters, half sisters on the maternal side. Cheers BCB is her maternal sister, as well as Cheers to Christy. Those are both big time cows, I feel. So she's kind of super underrated, I feel, in my program. So her first calf was this year, and she is just turned a Parker, and she is my biggest heifer calf I have, and horn is really starting to come on for her. So hopefully she's one of them super underrated cows that everybody just looks at and thinks nothing of, but just is one heck of a producer, I hope.
Hopefully. Do you feel like the absence of growth is kind of the first sign that when it comes to frozen horn, or do you feel like there's something else that kind of tips you off?
Kind of that absence of growth, I guess. And then you can also see there's a line, I guess you can kind of see in the horn where it kind of just in the horn, we'll just get like a line or a ring. And that's pretty much, I think, where it, just from talking with Joe and learning more on it, it's kind of like where it frees, and then everything else is like decay. Mm-hmm. That's kind of why that ring shows up. So you see that, and an absence of growth. It's really not a great sign. I feel like you lose a lot of value on your cow too, even though, like my vet said after we had to saw our horns off, he said he could tell that I was, kind of visually upset. And he goes, well, Ben, I guess the good thing is that's not the end of the cow that matters. So that kind of, once you look at it like that, her calves will be just as good. So that's kind of my thought on it. You don't like to see it, but genetic package is still there. So
for sure. Yeah. I feel like that's hard for vets or other folks outside of Longhorns to understand why we're kind of attached to that visual emphasis of their tip to tip.
Yeah.
What type of infection did she have? How did it lead to infection?
That part I still don't really understand. I guess every other one that we've had that froze just fell off and was already good, but hers just got an infection. I don't know if it was when it broke, we had a really bad fly year or something like that flies got in there or something, but it's about the only thing I can think of how it got infected. And both sides got infected was the weird thing. It wasn't just one side. Both sides got infected. And so she struggled for a while there. So she didn't breed her second year. So this would, I think she'll turn 4 today, actually. She's 4 years old today, and this was her first calf in April.
Okay. Well, hopefully she turns out to be a great one for you, like you said. Yeah. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Do you feel like just being in the part of country that you're in, or even related to running a little bit smaller of a herd, do you feel like there's any practices or innovations with technologies that you've implemented that you've kind of had to implement because of where you're at?
Of course, just hired hand. I had cows before and just didn't time couldn't afford have a website and all that. I'd say it's helped tremendously. People, kind of recognize who you are then, and see what you have. That helps quite a bit as far as technology wise. Yeah, just having a website, just having people be able to reach you from the touch of a thumb. I had a guy call me from Minnesota. I just got off a night shift. It was like 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning. I was already sleeping for probably close to 2 hours, and he calls me and he goes, "Hey, is this Krump Longhorns?" I'm like, yeah. He's like, "You got anything for sale? Got any bulls?" I'm like, "I only have one herd sire, and I've got two that were born in, or one that was born in April and one that was born in June." He's like, "You have nothing ready to breed now?" I said, "No." And he's like, "Okay, just figured I'd call. I saw your website." I'm like, "Okay, sorry I can't help you, but good to know that you can find me, I guess." He's an older guy, so figured if he could find me, a lot of everybody else can find me too. So,
Well, and hopefully this podcast should help with that as well. So, if we switch back to talking about your herd a little bit, just can you talk to me kind of about what the future looks like? I know you mentioned, you're maybe 5 years out from consigning to a sale, but what else is included in that 5-year plan?
Yeah, just getting as many heifers as I can, I guess, out of the cows I have by Rocky. And that should be a pretty good base for my foundation on the next couple of years. The next 5, hopefully between now and then, reach like my max. Probably want to max out about 12, just based on what I can afford for my feed program and the amount of acres that we're on. 12 would probably be about the limit for full-grown cows, so kind of where I want to be. And then once I kind of hit that and feel like I've got something good enough to sell, just start consigning, I guess, sales, and hopefully what would be a routine basis.
What are the top 3 breeding traits you feel like you're breeding for, that you're striving for?
Conformation. I really don't want any flaws in conformation. Everybody likes horn, so conformation, horn, and then just total package, color. Everybody likes color. I'd say over half my herd is solid red cows, and everybody's got something against solid red cow, but I've had good luck with getting color out of solid red cows. So just your horn, your conformation, consistency, total package animal is kind of my goal.
I think you're the 3rd breeder I've interviewed in the past 2 weeks who's said that about red cows.
Everybody knocks them, but
yeah,
all mine have produced colors. So,
well, hopefully the secret doesn't get out, because I feel like the other breeder I was speaking with, he's like, you can usually get them for a deal at an auction because they're red. So
yeah, you can. I've found that a lot of them just go cheap, and even no matter what you say, if even pedigree reading, people are like, "Don't discount this cow because she's solid red. Look at that cow or calf outside, and it can have a speckled up calf." And people still just won't touch them, and then what they like what the calf looks like after a couple of years. So
yep. Have you thought ahead past Rocky? Do you know what type of outcross or what type of the next bull that you bring in you'll want genetics from?
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I'm gonna get another bull after him or just AI. I'm really, really, really high and higher ground the bull, just because of what he brings to the table. His dam is my favorite cow in the breed ever. Horseshoe J important. She's just spectacular, I feel, and has had a lot of great offspring. And then I just really like the way all of his heifers and calves have looked and turned out to be. And as they get older, they just keep aging like fine wine. So that's kind of probably about the route that I would try and go down, is AI, probably the higher ground right now.
Would you say that he's your all-time favorite bull, or do you have someone else that you would list for that?
Ooh, I'd probably say it's pretty too early to put him there. Kind of hard to not say Tough or somebody like that, or like Rio or Jamaicaism, but I just think that Rio really fast-tracked kind of where the breed was when he was there, and he's got a lot of 90-inch cows, and a lot of good foundation cows came from Rio. So I'd say between him, Tough, and Jamaica's, and those are my favorites. But I'd say Rio probably takes the cake there.
And your favorite all-time cow is Horseshoe J Important, you think?
Yep.
And did you already say what you liked about her?
She just looks great, has great body conformation, beautiful horn set, and she just produced really well. If you think, Horseshoe J Journey, now owned by Hesse, she's probably the face of the breed. That's her daughter there. So, and she produced another great looking female, HL significant, and then just higher grounds produced a lot of nice young females. So that's why I really like her.
So for where you're located with your cattle at your dad's ranch, are they visible from the road? Do you have a lot of folks that, stop by and look at them, or that part locally?
We're just off State Highway, about half a mile on gravel. And then we've got one of our pens that's visible from the road. We got a couple neighbors, and the one guy is like, "You guys realize how much traffic you guys get? Come right at dusk." He's like, "People will race down the road and just drive slow every time right by our place because we're just right across the road from them." He says we get a lot of traffic, I guess. So I guess I never see it either. I'm probably in a house at that time or way out in the back. But
yeah, I feel like that's not a very common sight for North Dakota, for sure.
Yeah.
And now let's hear from our advertisers.
Hey, if you love From the Pasture with Hired Hand, why not go check out my podcast, The Big Iron Podcast with Andrew Shigori, where we dive into the world of registered Texas Longhorns and what it means to be an agriculture entrepreneur in the modern world, with a little southern flair, of course. Find The Big Iron Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
From the Pasture by Hired Hand is presented by R3 Hilltop Ranch. Located in Chilton, Texas, R3 Hilltop Ranch has been breeding registered Texas Longhorns since 2006. What began as 3 heifers has grown into our current herd, which you can explore on our website at r3hilltop.com. We're passionate about loud colors, longhorns, and docile temperaments. But it's the easy-keeping, low-maintenance traits of Texas Longhorns that initially attracted us and continue to drive our herd growth. In addition to livestock, we proudly offer certified Longhorn beef products. Visit r3hilltop.com/beef to learn more. Thank you for listening, and enjoy exploring our ranch online at r3hilltop.com.
Looking for top-quality Longhorns and a taste of true Texas spirit? Look no further than Cantera Cattle Company. Our passion for Longhorns shines at Old Gringo Ranch, where tradition meets excellence. Visit us online at CanteraCattleCompany.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest updates and ranch life fun. Ready to experience it yourself? Schedule your visit by emailing CanteraCattle@gmail.com. Remember, God is great, Longhorns are good, and life is crazy.
When it comes to buying and selling livestock, trust is everything. At Hired Hand Live, we have a platform that breeders and buyers rely on, whether participating in a live auction, an internet-only event, or hosting their own online auction. Our secure, user-friendly system ensures that your bid counts, and every transaction is backed by our commitment to integrity.
Whether you're a part of a consignment sale or planning your own internet auction, Hired Hand Live connects breeders and buyers live and online. Discover why breeders trust us with their livestock auctions. Visit hiredhandlive.com today. Well, I have some rapid fire questions here for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. What's your favorite snack to have on the farm?
Oh, anything Little Debbie's. Oatmeal cream pie, zebra cakes, cosmic brownies. Love Little Debbie's.
All right. I'm with you on the oatmeal cream pies. Those are pretty good. All right. Do you call it Coke, soda, or pop?
Pop all the way.
Same. I feel like it's a Midwest thing, right? Yeah. I'll never forget the first time I went into a restaurant to order a pop, and I ordered a Coke, and they said, "What kind?" I said, "Coke, like Diet Coke."
Yeah. Coke is Coca-Cola.
Yep. What is your favorite farm tool?
Fencing pliers.
One word to describe your herd.
Underrated.
Is your dream ranch location North Dakota, or would it be somewhere else?
Oh, I don't think I could ever leave North Dakota. I'd have a hard time leaving.
Is there a different part of the state that you kind of would rather be in, or no? Are you just happy where you're at?
I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I liked Kansas. I like Texas. Oklahoma wasn't so bad. I don't know if I could leave though. That'd be pretty tough.
What is your absolute favorite Longhorn website?
Arrowhead. All the gallery of horns. Mm-hmm. You can trace all the pedigrees around there from just going back to whatever.
If you could pick one Longhorn ranch anywhere in the United States to visit, who would it be and why?
Probably say Bull Creek. I've bought from Suzanne before, talked to her on the phone. Super nice, and she's got a lot of really good stuff there.
So you've purchased from her, but you haven't been there yet?
I have not been there yet.
Well, there you go. You're just going to have to do a tour of Texas when you go to one of the fraternities or something. Yeah. Are you Instagram or Facebook?
Both, but I like Facebook a lot better.
Okay. What do you like about it?
I'd probably say like the Longhorn Friends page on there, the group. I would use that all the time. Or I use Facebook a lot just for Longhorns, I'd say.
How much time do you think you spend looking at Longhorn websites in a week?
Oof. 15 to 20 hours probably. Yeah, a couple hours a day. Depends on the day.
Just looking through pedigrees or planning out your breeding, or what are you doing?
Both. Yeah, a lot of just studying traits, seeing how all these cows have produced, what lines they produce best with, planning for the future if I'll ever AI, planning on what I would use after Rocky on his daughters, a lot of stuff like that.
Do you know who the last three in your search history are?
I'd imagine Bull Creek, probably Arrowhead, and then I was on Sam Stoltz's website here just before we hopped on the call.
Okay. Well, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like the listeners to know or share about your program?
I don't think so. Not anything that comes to the top of my head, I guess.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today, and I hope everyone goes and visits your hired hand website for Krump Longhorns.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Molly.
Imagine updating your website and managing your animals at the same time without needing tech experience. With Hired Hand software, it's that easy. Our user-friendly platform is designed specifically for breeders, allowing you to keep your site fresh and your animal records up to date in just a few clicks.
Let us simplify your digital chores while you focus on what you do best. Visit hiredhandsoftware.com and see just how easy it can be.